All right. Good afternoon. Happy Halloween. How
Yeah,
are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Would you tell the listening and viewing audience what your name is, please, sir?
My name's Jef Hartman. I'm with the PrimerDome.
Okay, and tell me what is PrimerDome?
So we do a lot of things. We're a collective of artists,
Okay.
uh, kind of loosely, I guess you would say. We do have a studio and gallery over in the Westwood neighborhood on Morrison Road, um, but we represent I don't know, half a dozen street artists, local artists around town. Um, I don't really have a roster. It's kind of like people that have been involved with us before that want to continue to be involved with us. Like I'm totally down with that. Um, we don't, have any membership dues or people don't pay to work in our gallery or that. It's just kind of if it's a good fit, it's a good fit.
Okay. So would you say it's kind of an incubator, an art incubator? How would you?
I would like to think that it is.
Okay.
Um, we just kind of like people that are like minded with us.
Okay.
We kind of know a lot of artists around town. I tell people we're not for everyone. You know.
Okay. Well, and so talk a little bit about your background as far as what kind of artist are you? What's your style?
Well, I'm traditionally an oil painter. That's how the majority of my income comes from that.
Okay.
I do. My background is I went to Metro in Denver here.
Me
And
too. All right.
yeah, graduated from CSU with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in painting.
Oh, very cool.
Yep, in 1995, I guess.
Okay.
So my background is in oil painting. Like I do. Primarily that's what I do. I do a lot of printmaking, screen printing, and that kind of thing. That's where like the stickers and wheat paste and all that stuff that we do. That's like my contribution to that.
Right. Do you do the woodcuts?
That's what I do. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
the woodcuts or linoleum. Sometimes I use traffic cones.
Oh.
As like whatever. We're kind of some people say that we're green or whatever. We use recycled stuff. We just don't have a huge budget to work with. That being said, I don't think that if we were hemorrhaging money that we would do things differently. That's just kind of the way that we go. So like anything I can get for free, I'm going to try and use that as opposed to going and buying something.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so is that kind of the approach then with PrimerDome also? And
Yeah, I think we're all pretty like-minded when it comes to that. You know what I mean? None of
Okay.
us are, like the other members of PrimerDome, Bread and Cookie, they're my business partners or whatever. They kind of like have this art for the masses approach to things. You know what I mean? So like the cheaper that they can make something, the cheaper it's going to be for people to buy it, and their work is really affordable. Like
Okay.
people come by, and I think a lot of people think that they're like, oh, art's expensive. You know what I mean? Like even if it's a couple $100, like
Still.
that's expensive. You know what I mean? It's like it's not like tires. $200 worth of tires are expensive, but you got to buy those or you're not driving.
Right.
Art is the kind of thing where it's not something that I was going to say it's not something that people need, but I think that people just don't know that they need it is what the thing is.
Well, kind of thinking about that, you and maybe the PrimerDome, or you in particular, you're the kind of artist that I think of as being, when people talk about the cultural fabric and this kind of stuff, because, with your particular brand, say the wheat paste or the stickers, a lot of people, that's something that they're going to see, and, maybe they don't stop and focus on, or, they kind of see it and then pass by, but it does kind of make up that fabric of, say, the city,
Absolutely.
and so I've seen your art all over the place on, mailboxes or street, posts or,
Right.
And I don't know, I guess I'm rambling there,
Well,
but
no, we're visual beings. You know what I mean? Like I've heard that. So tell a short little story. Sometimes I'll do non-representational artwork, abstract stuff or whatever.
Okay.
Somebody wants me to do a piece, or sometimes I just do it, like to work out scenarios with color and shapes and that kind of thing. Regardless, like the thing that I run into that is a problem with that is like our brains are so wired to see people's faces. They see faces everywhere. The ability for me to walk in here and say, oh yeah, I remember, we've met before, I recognize you. We're visual beings, like it takes up a ton of your brain. So like with the abstract work, every time I work on a painting and it's like, oh, it looks like a face there, or it looks like like we're geared to see that. On the other end of that, it doesn't really matter if it says PrimerDome on it. You know what I mean? Like you see it, you live with it. It is a fabric of the cultures of modern times.
So talk a little bit about the history of PrimerDome, because I think I used to know of you when you were on Santa Fe, correct?
Right.
And now it seems like you've moved. So just walk us through some of that history.
So the Santa Fe was our second location. We started downtown on 21st and Arapahoe. So
okay.
It was the old. It's where Monkey Mania was.
Oh, right. Okay.
So we had actually Bread and Cookie and I had lived right next door to there at. Trying to think, 2130 Arapahoe. So, and it was this tiny little place. Tony Capra owned the building. He has the
heating and air or
exactly,
something, right?
Exactly. So he owns some buildings downtown.
Okay.
And I had actually gone to a party at the Monkey Mania before it was Monkey Mania, and when I was leaving there, we were soon to be moving out of our place that was down in what's Rhino now, is on Larimer Street. I saw that it was for rent. We called, and it was like $400 a month or something like that. It was ridiculous. It's right downtown. Didn't have a shower. It was just a half bath. And the building, it looks bad now. It hasn't gotten any better or any worse. It's kind of like always been a shithole. But
and what year was this?
So this would have been in 1998 or 99, I think, that we lived in there. Yeah. It was like, it was cheap. We liked living downtown. We were all bike messengers at the time or whatever. It worked out fine for us. You couldn't take a shower there, so they got memberships at the 20th Street Gym or whatever, so they could go take showers. I was a messenger, and there's buildings downtown that have showers. While I'm working, I'll take a shower. Wasn't that big of a deal. But anyway, so we fast forward 10 years, I guess. 2008, I saw that the Monkey Mania, that they were leaving that place, and that it was available. We had a history with Capra, so I had Bread give him a call, and I let him handle all the logistics of that. I don't know if we paid a deposit or what the story is. I know that he typically just takes cash. He's not going to fix anything, but we can do whatever you want there. So that was the deal. The three of us lived there for about a year after Monkey Mania left.
And for those that don't know, Monkey Mania was kind of was it a weekly or was it a monthly or was it all the time? I just remember it being a party.
So it was like this is like a more indie rock. It was all live music and stuff like that. And I don't think that I ever went to one of their parties, not because I didn't want to or didn't know about it. I just I had other priorities in life. But I knew that the history there. And when we moved in there, we kind of took a year that we just live here. You know what I mean? Like the cops were kind of like the police were the reason that they moved out. I'm pretty sure. They were having parties that were getting broken up, so we didn't do anything there. And for a year, and then the three of us just started talking about it. And we're like, the history of this place, musically and creatively, and that kind of thing. The three of us lean more towards the underground rave type culture of the 90s and that kind of thing, and where we wanted to kind of keep the venue going in a musical vein. It was different than what Monkey Mania was doing. So but it was important. It was important to me to carry that on, and I think it was for the two of them as well. Now we all went the three of us had, grown up in Denver in the 90s, gone to parties and stuff like that. That culture had kind of, they made raves illegal in Denver. And when we started having parties there, it was right around the time where it was like, well, raves have been illegal here for a long time. Nobody's having underground parties. Now, there's still parties going on, you know what I mean? But they're more like concerts. And, I was like, well, what's really stopping us from just having $5 parties? You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
All night, we'll see what happens, And for a while, nothing happened. You know what I mean? That we didn't have any problems with the police. We didn't have any fights going on, that kind of thing. It's like all the things that could have gone wrong didn't for some reason. I don't know what I did to deserve that, but I'll take it. So that's where we started. We're trying to do a few things. Number one, I think it's important to say we were trying to pay rent. First and foremost, it wasn't like some decision that was solely based on some, it was financially driven, but not to the point that, it's a $5 party,
Yeah.
So that was our thing, and we would do those. The problem with that was that the spot kind of blew up, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And people all of a sudden there aren't any underground parties in Denver, and all of a sudden there's a spot that's doing them. And it was exciting,
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun time to be part of the music culture or whatever.
Yeah. And 2008, right? This is kind
So
of what
2009 was when we first started having parties. We moved
Okay.
in there in 2008. We kind of kept it on the DL for a year. 2009 we started having parties there. That lasted about 8 or 9 months. And
Okay.
when the cops came, they came every time. You know what I mean? And it was like we looked into, we felt like people were relying on us. They're like, this is the spot we go to on Friday night or Saturday night, so Danny was like really involved with, well, we'll get permits. You know what I mean? Like, how hard can it be? We don't serve alcohol, so we don't need a liquor license and that kind of thing. How hard can it be? And the cops were like, we don't care what kind of permit you get. Like, you're not doing this here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, basically. We had parties in the basement for, a couple of months. But, it wasn't the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then how did it move from, that location on Santa Fe to where it's at now?
Okay, so, after we left the downtown place, we ended up on Santa Fe, and that was this is an important transition, I think, in our history. We kind of went from being strictly music-based to, I don't know how, Danny, again, was the one that found the spot on Santa Fe. I don't know what the logistics of that are, but it was interesting opportunity because all of a sudden we're right in the art district. You know what I mean? Where before we were downtown, it was good downtown because clubs get out, people come to the after party or whatever. When we were down on Santa Fe, I've been an artist my whole life. Cookie has always she's always been real, we'll say, creative minded. You know what I mean? She's she's got her own idea about how things are, and she's the same way whether it comes to making paintings or brushing her teeth or walking the dog. You know what I mean? She just thinks that way. And she started. She's like, well, we're down in the art district. I'm gonna make some art.
Okay.
And a lot of our friends are artists and that kind of thing. I'd kind of taken a break from making visual art at the time. I had some health issues. I didn't make the move from Arapahoe Street to Santa Fe. They lived there alone, and I had a separate place or whatever. But it was all of a sudden people are not only wanting to come to check out what PrimerDome has going on musically, but visual arts and that kind of thing. And we had a tremendous amount of success down there. That's where we met Carmine Diaz, black metal. We had some other artists that were working with us. But we were still having parties there every Friday and Saturday night.
Okay.
And the one thing that I've learned about having underground parties is you can't blow up one spot. You know, like as soon as people in Denver are pretty like tolerant. You know what I mean? Like the neighbors all, you could tell they were mad, but they weren't. You know what I mean? They weren't calling the cops. When the cops started coming, they didn't leave again. So,
okay.
you know, we went through they moved to another spot on Santa Fe, but it was all of a sudden we're getting away from the music thing. Now it's just a storefront only selling art, which I think was a great idea. But our history is kind of both. You know what I mean? So like it's like, oh, all of a sudden it's changed. It's not this, it's this, and you know, like we wanted people to make the change and understand the change, but that doesn't mean that it happens. Then we moved into the Denver Art Society there on Santa Fe at between 7th and 8th.
Okay.
Lived there for a year or something like that. Showed art there. It was cool. Now we're down on Morrison Road, and it's all ours again.
Okay.
And I think with the, you know, like with the, I wouldn't say failures that we had at the other places, but the, you know, like the obstacles that we had to overcome, it was nice to have okay, we've got this place. It's ours. We know what we do. We know what we like to do. Like, it was just a matter of coming up with the, you know, like the scenario of how we can do all of that stuff at the same time, not going to jail over it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as you get older, and it's like, oh, that's not.
I'm 45 years old.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't need a midlife prison crisis. You know,
right.
like
That's the last thing.
Yeah.
So you've been making art for a long time.
Yeah.
In Denver all your life, then born and raised?
No, well, I was born in Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
Which is like just south of Detroit.
Okay.
Motor City. The Jeep. I think the Jeep plant is still there. Moved to Denver in 1982.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
I grew up here. I went to junior high, high school, college.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what do you think about the change? You know, how do you feel about today's Denver compared to, I don't know, 10 years ago or when you were a kid? Or
you know, like I have a lot of friends that absolutely hate the fact that it's so populated now.
Sure.
You know, like we got people from everybody's fucking our city up and all this, that, and the other thing. You know, things change. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like if you don't embrace it, you are going to you know,
be pissed.
you're going to be pissed. Absolutely.
You know?
Like I can understand. You know, like it definitely is a different. It's a different place. It's a different time. I think as far as the arts go, like, you know, like I always felt really isolated as an artist here for a lot of reasons. You know, like I had friends that owned galleries or that were artists and that, but it wasn't like it wasn't a big community type of thing. You know what I mean? And like, I think that what's going on now in Denver is, I mean, it's really exciting. You know, like from the street level up. You know, like there's so many different kinds of artists. That, you know, it blows me away. You know, it's great. It's expensive to live here now, which makes things challenging for people that are, you know, struggling. You know, like and I understand that better than anyone. We kind of have a knack for finding crappy places in neighborhoods that are, you know, I grew up south of Detroit. Like there really aren't any terrible neighborhoods in Denver. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, like,
Yeah.
The, you know, like, yeah, it's not that people don't get killed. People get killed. People get mugged here. You know what I mean? It's not like it is there. You know what I mean? So,
But overall, I know what you're saying. I mean, there aren't any, and anymore with what's happening. I mean, it's hard to say, and I can't stand when new people say, "Oh, watch out for this neighborhood. Watch out for," you know. You're like, well, what are you talking about?
Right. You know, I mean, the Highlands used to be a crappy neighborhood.
Right.
Like, it was a lot like the neighborhood that we're down in Westwood. So that's like Barnum, then Alameda and Federal, and then Westwood south of that. I love it there. You know, when we first moved in, I was like tentative a little bit about it. But I can't imagine where, you know, we're close to downtown. Our rent's super cheap. We've got a landlord that lets us do whatever we want.
Oh, cool.
You know, like, again, we're in the same position where we pay cash for rent every month, and we need a furnace. We're not going to get it, but we can have parties there, whenever we want. So it's, like the thing about being an artist, I think, is that it's not, like you have to be creative to make artwork and this and that. Like I think like one of the most important things is finding creative ways to make it so you can continue making art.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you gotta pay rent. Everybody does.
Yep.
That's just the way it goes. So I I wasn't so fond of that when I was younger. I embrace it now.
Yeah.
Like I like it's not really a struggle for me. It's a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Because you've learned how to do it.
Yeah.
And so you've supported yourself with art for how long?
So the last real job that I had, I just took on a part-time job recently, just to, like, I live and work where we are. I'm married. My wife lives and works where we are.
Yeah.
I see those guys all the time. Like,
Yeah.
I needed a place to go a couple hours
yeah.
a day. But before that, like, it was the last job that I had was in 2010.
Oh, okay.
So, it's been a good run.
Right
Like
on.
I didn't get the job that I have now because I need the money so much. I mean, certainly the money is nice. I like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
But I'm good at being poor. Like I have, like I don't know if that's something to be proud of, but I make it work for me.
Yeah. And you make really cool art. I mean, I can say that, from kind of just going through like some of the Instagram stuff, and then having seen it on the street and not necessarily known, but sometimes known, which brings me to the question: the mural, or not mural, but the big wheat paste over here of the cowboy.
Oh, it was
that was up on Dickinson Plaza.
Henry, yeah,
Henry,
he's the owner. That was actually it was a painting that Cookie and I did.
Really?
I've known Henry for, I mean, like, we're never like, hey, I see him on the street. He's like, Jeff, but like I've known of him for a long time, because I've known a lot of people that have had shops in that building, or lived upstairs, and he's like he's just the quintessential slumlord in Denver.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's something. I mean, I'm saying that in the best of ways. You know what I mean? Like, he's like the nicest guy.
Funny.
He's very charismatic, but like that building was a fire hazard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was a trap.
Yeah.
Cookie and I had we did the mural over there. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think when that was. I guess it's not really important. My wife's a tattooer. She's been a tattooer in Denver for 20 years.
Oh, I see.
She was working at the tattoo shop that was there at Tempest before it was Sandy Callistro's shop or whatever. And I've been scoping that wall for a long time. It's like prime real estate. And it's kind of like everybody sees it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had been talking to Tia about, like, we talked to Henry about, we want to paint a mural up there, we'll paint whatever he wants or whatever. And, like the tattoo shop owed him money and stuff, so it wasn't really ever a good time to do it. And Cookie and I were talking, and we were like, Henry used to be he was like in movies, like, I don't know what.
I had heard that. I
like,
never heard which ones, or.
I've heard all sorts of things. People say he was the villain in Hubba Bubba bubblegum commercials, like that he had been in Pace Picante commercials. I have never seen any of those. I don't know. That's all urban legend. But I knew that he was involved in Hollywood to some degree, and I was like, why don't we just pick a picture of him and put it up there? You know what I mean? What can he say? And so we Tia had a 8x10 glossy that he had come into the tattoo shop and given everybody. Here's my, you know what I mean?
Headshot.
Like that's just, dude, you cannot blame a guy for a straight hustling. You know what I mean? Like, so we took this thing and I cropped it, and I was like, nobody had talked to him about doing the painting. We were anxious to do something there, and I was like, well, we just went up there in the middle of the night one night, and we're like, let's just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So his daughter, I guess, was somehow, I don't know if she had a shop there they had the pizza place that was there.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if I don't think it was her shop. I think she knew somebody that was there. So we're like up there it wasn't the middle of the night, but it was like, 10, 11 o'clock. And she comes out. She's like, well, she's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, and we're like, oh yeah, Henry said that we're all good, and he was like, I didn't hear anything about this, like, so she's trying to call him, and like,
oh no.
Meanwhile, like my wife went to talk to her or whatever, and Cookie and I are just painting, and she's like, what do you think's gonna happen? And I was like, I don't know. Tia's good with people, and she's like, do you think we're gonna go to jail? And I was like, I doubt it, like, so. Tia came back up and she's like, well, she's not happy, but she couldn't get a hold of Henry because, it's like midnight. He's an old man.
Mm-hmm.
And when the sun came up, there was a painting of him on the roof, and he loved it.
Yeah. Oh, and he loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
But I could see it because he was kind of a big ego.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And once it stayed, because at first I thought, and I thought maybe it was somebody that had an issue with him or something, right? Just to kind of get to him.
Yeah.
And but then once it stayed, I thought, I think he commissioned this or something.
I wish we would have gotten paid for it, but we didn't. I mean, like, like, and then it went through. So we had put PrimerDome up there, on there, and we didn't put that up there originally, but once he saw it, and like it was like, I was relieved, and I was like, can we put our name up here?
And he let you.
And he let us.
That's very
that came
cool.
down about a year later, and I don't know what the logistics of that were. But then somebody had painted a
red nose
on it, which at first I was a little, like it kind of hurt my feelings a little bit.
Sure.
But when I thought about it, like there's a lot of people that think Henry's a clown. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So, and it's a public piece.
It was so perfect in a way.
That's what I thought. Like, and I, like I was mad about it for maybe a day, and then I figured. This thing's taken on a life of its own. We'll just let it be.
Oh wow! Yeah. I'm so glad to have this story documented.
Yeah.
I mean, I wondered, because I had my own run-in with him when I went and I thought I was going to open a screen printing shop in there, right? And so I thought I was doing what I should, and I went down to the city to talk to him about zoning or something.
Right.
Well, they'd sent somebody up there to check it out.
Yeah.
And it was some kind of inspector.
Yeah,
so all of a sudden, I get a phone call, and he's screaming at me on the phone, how could you send so... And I'm like, I just thought I was doing something to open a business. I didn't realize this was some shady, real estate deal thing.
He's definitely old school Denver. Like as shady as he is, if there weren't people like him, I wouldn't have a place to live or have had a place to live for, my adult life.
Yeah.
I don't think that means that like I'm maybe I am a bad tenant, but fortunately he has a need for people like me. I have a need for people like him, and that's I worry about it sometimes, but like, oh, this is what your life has become, but like I love it, I embrace it. I have faith that there's going to be somebody like that for me again. That's the way it goes.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been really cool, to talk to somebody that has been, part of the art scene for as long as you have, doing it as long as you have, supporting other artists for as long as you have, and I really commend you for that. And
thanks. That's our thing, like the I always I try to encourage people to make art. You know what I mean? Anybody. Like you don't have to make a living at it, or you don't have to like the era of the era of just anybody becoming a rock star seems like to a lot of people that's like that's gone. You know what I mean? Like you have a couple of people that are at the top of the top.
Yeah.
And then that's it. So I try to encourage anybody, like to any capacity. You don't have to sell art; just make it. You know what I mean? Like it's good for you. And if things are good for you, then the conversations you have with other people are going to, like it just what makes you feel good makes other people feel good.
Yeah, right on, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks for coming by and talking about things.
Absolutely.
And happy Halloween.
You too.
So have a good evening.
Right on.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks.